Hey, Shalom. First and foremost, I want to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, double honors to the apostles and elders at Great Millstone. This is Ainaya Allah with the beloved truth. All right, today's lesson is going to be on homosexuality. How homosexuality is a form of eugenics, okay? And eugenics is nothing more than genocide, all right? So I got a few documents, okay? And I got a book I'm going to be reading out of. And, I'm going to just, go into some of their philosophy, all right? Just to show you that the elites have created these social sets, all right, that people follow, all right, regardless of what um, your group is, whether you lower class, whether you middle class, higher class. These the influence is pushed on a level where society has to, bend their will to it, all right, and when it's scrutinized or criticized, you have all this propaganda about, hate speech, so on and so forth, okay? Only to protect the ideology and philosophy of the elites, which they push through their institutions, all right? Which they call think tanks, all right? Okay? And they do it heavy. They do it on a grand scale. They do it through NGOs, non-government organizations, who supposedly go overseas and bring help and aid to countries that suffer from natural disasters or suffer from certain things like wars or so on and so forth. But the thing is that homosexuality, plain, clearly is eugenics. All right, it's clearly genocide. And I'm gonna go into some of the tactics that these elites use. All right, here's the document. It's called Eugenics. Slaki. Eugenics, because I got the paper right here. Eugenics, the ideology of death culture. Okay, and that's what homosexuality is. It's a death culture pushed and propagated by the elites. All right, so let's go into who are you? Who are the eugenicists? Okay, and then I'm gonna go how I'm gonna explain. I'm gonna show you how homosexuality has um, is adopted by the eugenicists. Okay, so it says who are the eugenicists? It says among the eugenicists there are two big families. Okay, it says opportunistic capitalists or free thinkers. All right, this is this is just the heading of the title, and then it goes into saying the families. Opportunistic capitalists or free thinkers. All right, and this is a buzzword. All right, free thinkers. Okay, because it's ambiguous. It means more than what people perceive it, how people perceive it. Okay, so you got the Rockefeller family, Kellogg, Mellon, Ford, Carnegie, and Agnelli, McCormick. All right, it says who find and it's not by coincidence that these are all the rich families in the United States. And most of their families spawn from Europe. Okay, so it says who, or all their families spawn from Europe. All right, it says who find in eugenics a justification to their selfishness, an excuse to destroy the potential competitors, or the pretext of progress and of their happiness. All right, so basically, what it's saying is that they destroy and they set out to sabotage other races' growth. Okay, and they mainly done that to the blacks, Latins, and Native Americans. Now they use hip hop, they use which is nothing but an industry institution that was set up by the so-called white man, and he used Jake to push it. And you got a lot of our people who are in league with the so-called white man who help push these agendas because they want to position in the so-called white man's world. All right, and okay, it says the materialist socialist. All right, and that's funny. It says the materialist socialist because in this book, all right, I'm gonna get into it. It's called Public Opinion. which is a good book, by the way. If you want to understand how propaganda works, how stereotypes work, and how the elites influence, the social sets beneath them, meaning the upper lower middle class. You know, it's a good book to read. But this word, going back to materialist socialists, okay, um, and the nationalists or nationalists, later called national socialists, Nazis, who rub shoulders within the intellectual milieux in the big cities. Now, notice they mentioned Nazis and rubbed shoulders. All right, so when during the Nazi occupation, I guess you can say that in Germany, who was the Nazis doing business with? I believe they were doing business with Ford or Coca Cola. One of those. Or you can look it up. All right. And if not, I can go in post production and bring it out. But they were in league. They're in league together. Okay. And one of those, another person they was in league with was Margaret Sanger. All right. And eugenics is it's not a light thing. It's not a light philosophy that people just just study upon. These are actual agendas that's being pushed through societies and propagated through societies. Um, and here we go. All right, Margaret Sanger. Okay, first and foremost, a lot of you brothers and sisters might know of Margaret Sanger, but her roots go deeper than people like to explain. Hitler himself, I believe, he congratulated her or something to that extent, as far as her being her methods in eugenics. All right, so the Nazis and the Americans were really going back and forth when it comes to the scientific understanding of social movements, okay, and eradication and eugenics and genocide of certain people, okay, which they call ethnic cleansing. All right, so I know I'm blabbering a lot, but it's a lot of information. All right, and once, like I mentioned earlier, all right, the society is ran by the elites. Okay, people like to call it conspiracy theory. It's not a conspiracy theory. It's a conspiracy fact. All right, so it's just actual factuals that you're dealing with these people. All right, and eugenics is not a light thing. It's actually certain agendas that they're carrying out in your communities. All right, so and there's plenty of examples, with our people. Okay, that they have done. Okay, they put syphilis in our community. They call them racist. Well, not racist, but ethnic targeted, um, Slovakia, diseases that they create. Okay, so let me see. All right, so those are the families that are involved in that deal with eugenics. Okay, so but my next point, like I said, is tidbit information. You can read the whole document. Okay, because it's like four different parts to it where they go deep into how how this thing works. Okay, so my next point is my next point is the encouragement to sexual promiscuity. All right, and promiscuity just means indiscriminate. Okay, and when you go into the word indiscriminate, basically, um, it goes with hand in hand with their philosophy. Okay, just so you know, well, I'll read it and then I'll get into Henry Havelock Ellis. All right, so okay, here we go. Encouragement. It says the IPPF's general policy may be summarized in a few points. All right, the International Planned Parenthood Federation. It says encouragement, so the encouragement to sexual promiscuity. meaning indiscriminately. So anything you could do, bestiality, transgenderism, homosexuality, lesbianism, you know, all the isms. All right, so encouragement to sexual promiscuity through literature, all right, and through the uncontrolled distribution of the so-called contraceptive methods, also encouraged are homosexuality and pedophilia, all right, because they are sterile, all right, and that's the main point, okay. They used to sterilize us by, how a dog get neutered. They used to castrate us. They used to cut off our balls, our nuts, and at some points they cut off our rods. Okay, that's actual history, and they used to put them in pickle jars because the so-called white man is a sick sociopath, and that's just how they get down. All right, so the main point being because they are sterile, and the reason why America allow pedophilia to go on in the Roman Catholic Church because it's part of their philosophy, sterilism, sterilizing. Um, it's in the Talmud. It's in all their belief sets. Okay, so homosexuality, like I said, the elites create the culture. Okay, they create and they influence the social sets. It says, and its affiliates claim that they fight AIDS, diminish the amount of teenage pregnancies, improve women's life conditions. So that's the propaganda, all right? They say AIDS, and that's what they say now. But if you have been reading and keeping up on the news concerning homosexuality and transgender, the whole LGBT movement, there's been an increase of diseases amongst these groups, okay? Because that's scriptural, all right? And I'm gonna get the scriptures, Romans 1, chapter 1, and basically edified through the scriptures because everything that's being done is basically they're trying to counter the Most High, or not trying to counter. Well, yeah, that too, but at the same time, they're establishing, their way of life over the Most High's way, which has dominated the world and still does dominate the world, throughout the centuries. It's just now you have more people that believe they can do whatever they want. All right, so now going back to the homosexuality and how it came abroad within the think tanks and the institutions, it started with a guy named Henry Havelock Ellis. Now, this is as far as back as I know that it's been introduced, but I'm sure you can go, to the Greek Empire, the Roman Empire, and Greek Empire. You can go further back in history, but as far as the time within the frame that we're talking about, the last 100, 200 years, all right, here you go. This guy, Henry Havelock Ellis, during the time, I'll read it and then I'll explain the time within the time frame that he came and why it was so important. Why it's so important that a lot of the philosophy was brought to the light. It says Henry Havelock Ellis, known as Havelock Ellis, all right, was an English physician, writer, progressive intellectual, okay, and social reformer who studied human sexuality, all right. He was co-author of the first medical textbook in English on homosexuality in 1897, and also published works on a variety of sexual practices and inclinations, as well as transgender psychology. He is credited with introducing the notions of narcissism and autoeroticism, all right, later adopted by psychoanalysis. He served as president of the Galton Institute and, like many intellectuals of that era, supported eugenics. Okay, so there you go. You put two and two together, all right? Um, Eugenics and the sexual, trans, LGBT, homosexuality. Period. All right. This guy did the study on all of that. All right. Now, it says he was a social reformer, and we know the Galton Institute is notorious among think tanks among all institutions. That's where they push a lot of the social reformation in the world that we see today, starting in Europe, all the way coming to here in America. All right, so a progressivism. All right, this is the philosophy that they believe in. All right, is a philosophy based on the idea of progress. Now, here's where the propaganda comes in. It says which asserts that advancement in science, technology, economic development, and social organization are vital to improve the human condition. So this guy thought what homosexuality, uh, um, transgenderism was the advancement. Well, it improves the human condition. And that's what these people think. Liberalists and all these other people that's in part of politics. Okay, and I'm gonna show you later how it trickles all the way down and influences people who are very notable today and very praised amongst politics and politicians. Okay, so progressivism became highly significant during the age of enlightenment, and that's why this is important. All right, that's why this is highly notable, because the age of enlightenment, that's when all this philosophy and stuff will start coming in. All right, the age of reason. All right, and when you go into reason, reason just means an excuse. Okay, I'm gonna look the word up and then I'm gonna find that precept. All right, so we go into that word real quick. Reason definition. Sloppy. It says reason, a cause, explanation, or justification for an action or event, whether it be wrong or right. All right, so it's a justification of an act or a wrongful event. All right, so that's a lot. So I got a scripture for that. All right, because this is their belief set. All right, this is their philosophy. Okay, so this is Sirach or Ecclesiasticus chapter. Let me see, 32 and 17. All right, so it says a sinful man will not be reproved, but findeth an excuse according to his will. All right, and what will was that? To do to that, what it says, dare to know, or also to do what thou wilt. All right, which is do what thou wilt. What well, slack. Dare to know is the same thing as do what thou wilt, which is conjured up by a demon and a Satanist. His name is Aleister Crowley. All right, and that is the merits of America. That is America's foundation, Satanism. All right. That's another topic we can go into, but Salakia. Oh, blue letter. Okay, because what people fail to realize is that you're not born a homosexual. You're not born a lesbian. The power of influence, that's what turns you over to be a lesbian. That's what turns you over to be a homosexual. Thanks to the institutions, all right, by yours truly, uh, you know, guys like Henry Havelock Ellis, all right, and he's no different than Karl Marx, um, anybody for that matter. He's no different than anybody that was a great a socialist of their time. You know, these guys influence the culture, just like George Soros. He was rich and he influences. He's able to take down whole countries just by uh, uh, betting against you know the bonds or whatever the case may be. Okay, so my next scripture is Ecclesiastes chapter 7 verses 29, and it reads, it says, "Lo, this only have I found, that God hath made man upright, but they have sought out many inventions." All right, so let's go into the word upright. Yashar. Okay, so the Most High has made what man right, upright, righteous, straight, convenient, just equity, meaning fair, meet, okay, uprightly, all right. So in other words, correct, All right, so the Most High made us the correct way, but we sought out what? Many inventions. All right, you go to the word invention. All right, chasha ban, chasha ba, chasha ba one. All right, engine invention. All right, let me see. Or mental machination, engine invention. Let me see. Let's go to the root word. Chasha, imagine. All right, think, thought. All right, count. Reckon. So men reckon to do what? Evil, evil reckoning. All right. They esteem themselves evil. All right. Evil devices, wicked devices. All right. To think, plan, esteem, calculate, invent, make a judgment, imagine, count. So the Most High had made man upright, but he has sought out wicked inventions, as the Scripture says. All right. As you can see, Ecclesiastes 7:29. And guess what? It has been done by who? All right, the elites that run the society, that pay, that spew money and pour money into these institutions. What to force the course of the river. All right. So the Age of Enlightenment. This is when all that crap came into play. All right. Also known as the Age of Enlightenment in French. I don't know that word. It says was an intellectual movement dominated that which dominated the world of ideas in Europe in the 18th century. The Enlightenment included a range of ideas centered on reason. All right, we went to the word reason, what that means, an excuse. All right, it says as the primary source of authority and legitimacy. So reason. So their whole philosophy, their whole foundation is what brought up on an excuse, an explanation, or justification for an action or event. All right, and you know what the scriptures say about an excuse. A sinful man will not be reproved. This is Sirach 32:17. But findeth an excuse according to his will. So, so-called white man has found an excuse. All right, and that's why they propagate it as, okay in the society. All right, and going back to the Age of Enlightenment. All right, dare to know. Okay, because that's what they were saying back in that time, back in the 1800s, 1900s, when they came over here to the Americas. All right, dare to know what? That's the same thing as saying do it thou wilt. All right, which is like I said, the demon. But that's all I want to get out of that in this progressivism. But when you go into their philosophy, you know what human sex. You study human sexuality. Uh, is the capacity of humans to have erotic experiences and responses. Sexual orientation. A person's sexual orientation can influence their sexual interests and attraction for another person. Sexuality may be experienced and expressed in a variety of ways, including thoughts, fantasies, desires, beliefs, attitudes, values, behaviors, practices, roles, and relationships. These may manifest themselves in biological, physical, emotional, social, or spiritual aspects. Okay, and the spiritual, when you're dealing with homosexuality in the spiritual realm, it's very violent, bro. It's very violent. The homosexuals got the worst demons on them known to men, and it's only because the Most High has given them over to that. Okay, Slacky. So, so he studied transgenderism only because, like it says, he's a social reformer. Okay, so let's go into another key point in their philosophy: narcissism. Narcissism is a pursuit of gratification from vanity or egotistic admiration of one's own attributes. The term originated from Greek mythology, where a young narcissist fell in love with his own image reflected in a pool of water. All right, now notice it says the Greek Empire. Now let's deal. All right, come on now. Now let's deal um, with the Greek Empire and what it says in the Greek Empire. All right, and we know who was notorious in the Greek Empire. There you there you go. Alexander the Great. All right. So here you go, Maccabees 1:1, and it happened after Alexander, son of Philip the Macedonian, who came out of the land of Kittim, had smitten Darius' kingdom of the Persians and the Medes, that he reigned in his stead the first over Greece. All right, so a lot of people can't deny the kingdoms, you know, that was set up in, of antiquity. A lot of people like to deny the history. A lot of people won't go over the history. A lot of people hide the history, mainly the so-called white man, because most of the, when it comes to wickedness, he's probably the main suspect. All right, that's being called out. It says it made many wars and won many strongholds and slew the kings of the earth. So we're talking about the Greek Empire under the rule of Alexander. All right, Alexander the Greek, son of Philip the Macedonian. All right, so it says, and went through the ends of the earth and took spoils of many nations, and so much that the earth was quiet before him, whereupon he was exalted, and his heart was lifted up. And he gathered a mighty strong host and ruled over countries and nations and kings, whom became tributaries unto him. After these things he fell sick, and perceived that he should die. Wherefore he called his servants, such as were honorable, and had been brought up with him from his youth, and parted his kingdom among them, while he was yet alive. All right. So a lot of you know him, like Lysimachus, Cassander, uh, uh, to, Ptolemy, Seleucus, um, a few others that transferred powers. I probably said them already, but but those were the generals that took over for him. It says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died. And his servants, all right? So let me not screw it up, all right? So Ptolemy, Lysimachus, Cassander, and Seleucus, all right? Those were the commanders that took over for him. It says, so Alexander reigned 12 years and then died, and his servants bare rule every one in his place. And after his death, they they all put crowns upon themselves, so did their sons after them many years, and evils were multiplied in the earth. So, hey man, going back to that point, all right, that's where it came from. This narcissism came from the Greek Empire, and it tell you evils were increased in the earth. So under the rule of the so-called white man, that's when the evils were created in the earth. I mean, well, that's when they were more evils were basically, as the scriptures say, here we go with the scriptures say, multiplied. All right, it was multiplied in the earth. All right, so there you have it, man. But the point being, narcissism is the pursuit of gratification from vanity. What does vanity mean? It really means nothingness, but they're going to give you this extravagant breakdown. It says vanity is an excessive belief in one's own abilities or attractiveness to others. All right. Unjustified boasting, boasting in vain, vanity, but originally vain. Okay, so basically, what it really means nothingness. Okay, so and that's what the elites have uh, sold to the people, and the people basically bought into that way of lifestyle, vanity, and that's what America represents, vanity. Okay, from its very foundation. All right, so vanity, egotistic. All right, which a lot of Americans are egotistic. All right, let me go into the word real quick. The drive is the drive to maintain and enhance favorable views of oneself. All right. So basically, selfishness. All right. That's what a lot of Americans, you Americans have, and a lot of you are under that homosexual vibration, the lesbianism vibration. All right, and you catching the code as well. So, okay, it says he is credited with introducing the notions of narcissism and autoeroticism. All right, how did it? There you go. Is the practice of becoming sexually stimulated through internal stimuli. The term was popularized toward the end of the 19th century by British sexologists Havelock Ellis, all right, who defined autoeroticism as the phenomenon of spontaneous sexual emotions generated in the absence of an external stimulus proceeding directly or indirectly from another person. So, in other words, lusting. All right. So, hey, but this is Esau you're talking about here. All right. Diligent search. Oh, this is it. Here we go. They search out iniquities. That's what the scripture is about to say. This is Psalm 64 and 1. It says, Hear my voice, O God, and my prayer. Preserve my life from fear of the enemy. Who is the enemy? The so-called white man, all right? Because we were brought here, over here on slave ships. And it says, You shall be sold unto your enemies. All right. Deuteronomy 28 and 68. It says, Hide me from the secret counsel of the wicked, from the insurrection of the workers of iniquity, who whet their tongue like a sword, and bend their bows to shoot their arrows, even bitter words. All right? And their legislation, their laws that they put up, those are the bitter words, all right? Okay? When Hillary Clinton said sexual predator, I mean, no, she didn't say sexual predator. She said super predators. She called you blacks, Latins, and Native Americans super predators. And when Bill Clinton brought in that 3 strikes and you out over there on the West Coast, those are the bitter words, man. All right, it says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect, which is the elect of Israel. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. Okay, and they don't fear. And that's why they bring in eugenics, they bring in Planned Parenthood. They allow the black woman to kill uh, their own children at an alarming rate. Murder is very popular in America. Okay, amongst all, in comparison to the whole world. America is known for its murderous history, and it's allowing it to do it through their eugenics, through their genocidal Planned Parenthood. Okay, you can thank the so-called white man for that. It says that they may shoot in secret at the perfect. Suddenly do they shoot at him and fear not. They encourage themselves in an evil matter. That's the whole eugenics breakdown. They commune of laying snares privately. All right, that is the homosexual philosophy that they snuck in under the rug during civil rights. You can thank this guy, Bear Roosteen, and I'm gonna get into him. Let me finish the scripture, and then I'm gonna get right into him. All right, it says, "They say, who shall see them?" All right, so when they pass their legislation, that's what they're saying, man. Ain't nobody gonna see us. Those blacks, Latins, and Native, those Negroes, those niggers ain't paying attention to what's going on. They have no clue about what agenda we have in place for them. All right, and you think I'm lying? Look at their Georgia Guidestones. All right, so it says they commune of laying snares privately. What is a snare? All right, that's a trap. Okay, simply that's a trap. You can look the word up yourself. They say, who shall see them? They search out iniquities. All right, here's the point. What is iniquities? Wickedness. Okay. It says, I wall, okay. I believe it says wicked, unjust perverseness. What's perverse? All right. Perverseness is homosexuality. Simple. Simply said. Okay. So back to the scripture. So the scripture's on point. All right. It says they accomplish a diligent search. That's why they set up think tanks. That's why they set up the Galton Institute. That's why they set up freaks like that and rehab like Ellis, who's a sexologist, okay, who was a social reformer. You know what the word, you go into the word reformer, okay? You go into the word reformer and a person who makes changes to something in order to improve. And that's what they believe through their philosophy, that they're improving. And really they're not improving, okay? Because a lot of words that so-called white man uses are ambiguous. Meaning they don't mean exactly what they say, because they have a double fold meaning. So here we go. It says they accomplish a diligent search, both the inward thought of every one of them, and the heart is deep. That's why they have the institutions. That's why they have think tanks, and that's why they pour millions, billions of dollars into the school institutions, and they fund the scientific exploration of, or I could say, scientific um, education. All right, of finding out iniquities. All right, search out iniquities so they can present them to the people. And then the people take hold of those ideologies. They buy into the system. Now they are part of the system. They think the system is for them, and they're taught to love the system. All right, and that's what we call being dumbing down, dumbed down. We also call it being it's a word uh, um, not institutionalized, but the same thing. But ah, it, it slipped my mind. All right, it says, so they shall make their own tongue slack. It says, but God shall shoot at them with an arrow. Suddenly shall they be wounded. So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. All that see them shall flee away. And what does it mean by they? So they shall make their own tongue to fall upon themselves. So-called white man is telling on themselves. Example, example given. This document right here, which shows you one of their plights, is using homosexuality, okay, as a guise or a form of eugenics or genocide, okay. It says, yeah, and that's pretty much on that scripture. All right, now let's see if we got everything with him. All right, so we're gonna deal with Jake. This is how they got it through to fall through the social reformation. I'm gonna read, you know, just a little bit about him, but this is how they, you know, got it in. I guess smuggled homosexuality in, you know, to the culture, to society. So Bear Roosting, all right, was an American leader in social movements for civil rights, socialism, nonviolence, and gay rights. All right, he was born and raised in Pennsylvania, where his family was involved in civil rights work in 1936, not so long after Henry Havelock Ellis. Okay, Havelock Ellis lived to 1939. All right, so right before he died, um, you can believe me, this guy was an Ivy Leaguer. He went to the probably you know, school. I mean, you can read up on it. And I guarantee you, he learned from this guy. You know, and guess what? In the institutions, they push people like him. All right, when you get higher in, you know, the levels of school, you know, it says he was born and raised in Pennsylvania, where his family was involved in civil rights work. In 1936, he moved to Harlem, New York City, right, where he learned a living as a nightclub and stage singer. He continued activism for civil rights. All right. Now, um, and the whole setup of protesting during that time was all generated. All right. They were paid for doing what they were doing. Okay. So let me see. Political philosophy. And probably much like Roostein's personal philosophy is said to have been inspired by combining Quaker pacifism with socialism. All right, and who's a socialist? This guy was socialist. So when you in sociology, you learn about guys like Henry Havelock Ellis. All right, this guy is, let's just say, um, this guy is no just, how can I say? He's in the circle. All right, I get, you can say it like that. He's in a circle. All right, he's part of the what we call the Illuminati. All right. So here's let me see. I got a scripture for him. All right, Isaiah chapter 27. I mean no, chapter 1 verses 27. All right. This is how they smuggled homosexuality uh, through civil rights. All right. Let me see. This is verse 23. As a matter of fact, it says Isaiah 1 and 23. Because this guy's an Israelite. All right. He's an Israelite. All right. It says thy princes are rebellious and companions of thieves. Who is a thief? The so-called white man. Everyone loveth gifts. And the gift was what? You can be a homosexuality, dare to know, do what thou wilt. You can be a part of the society, the American society. That was a gift. All right. And follow after rewards. They judge not the fatherless, which is the children of Israel. And judge, when we really go into it, another word for judge can be opinion. You know, so they judge not the fatherless, meaning they don't basically um, they don't tell the blacks, Latins, Native Americans what they really need to be doing. Okay, as far as a nation of people, it says neither doth the cause of the widow come unto them. All right, so our people suffering in the communities during this time, uh, homosexuality wasn't something that would heal the so-called blacks, Latins, and Native Americans. As a matter of fact, it destroyed. All right, it was part of the death culture that helped push us into oblivion and destruction. All right. Okay, so that's it on that. So Isaiah, let me just hit you with these scriptures because I'm pretty much at the end of the lesson. And then just one quick point: Hillary Clinton, which I mentioned earlier. A lot of people in politics looked up to women like Margaret Sanger, who was the top eugenicist at the time during her time, along with Hitler, along with other guys, um, Stalin. A lot of people that are not even mentioned. Um, but I'll read this point. I'll read the scripture and then I'll go into her. It says Isaiah 3 and 9. It says, the shoe of their countenance doth witness against them, and they declare their sin is Sodom. Right? And you know what Sodom is. Sodom and Gomorrah, they were known for being destroyed by the Most High for the homosexuality, the men on men, crimes that they committed against the word of the Most High. It says they hide it not. Woe unto their soul, meaning destruction unto their souls, for they have rewarded evil unto themselves. And that's what they have done, man. When you in homosexuality, you reward evil unto yourselves, man. All right, so Isaiah 5 and 20, and this is how the society thinks with this scripture. It says, woe unto them that call evil good and good evil, all right, because they would have you think that homosexuality is freedom, they have rights, so on and so forth, and when also they should be put to death, because the simple fact, and I'm gonna just say yes, I do hate homosexuality. Yes, I do hate transgenderism. Why? Because it's an attack on human nature. All right, we were put on this earth to reproduce. All right, procreation, have families, watch our families grow, have grandchildren, watch their generations grow. All right, and push, increasing our stock. So homosexuality is an attack, and the elites know this. They know, all right, without a shadow of a doubt. As you've seen in the article, it's against their own well-being if other races outgrow them. Okay, so they use eugenics as a plight or a form of genocide. Okay, it says that put darkness for light. Homosexuality is darkness. All right, and you have America celebrating. All right, it says in light for darkness and put bitter for sweet and sweet for bitter. Okay, that is bitter, man. Another man butt plugging another man. That in no way can you reproduce or make a family. All right. God's creation alone is beautiful. Okay, the way it naturally occurs when you have sex with the opposite sex, meaning a male having sex with a female, you reproduce something so beautiful as a child. You are attacking that, and then the elites are attacking my right to say something about it or speak up about it. But through the spirit of Yahweh by Hashem Yahushai, I have all right to say what I will against this social engineered promiscuity. Okay, so um, so yeah, that's how the society is ran. Isaiah 50 and 20. All right. So let me see. Let me get the rest of my scriptures. Um, and you know what? Because for the sake of time, I believe I'll bring out the book. You know, it ain't that much, but I'll do it in a later lesson. It just shows you how the you know what? Let's see if I can go into it because I know I'm long-winded and you know, brother worked third shift, so just getting off of work about an hour ago, hour or two ago. So um, Ecclesiasticus 17 and 17, because the Most High didn't make man, you know, to go off. Men sought out inventions. All right. And this proves it. It says the Lord created man. This is Ecclesiasticus chapter 17, verse 1. The Lord created man, and that's why you evil people out there who are against the Bible, you're mad because ever since the beginning, the Most High set up laws and regulations to go about, you know, basic instructions to go about living life. And you're solely against that. That's why you come up with philosophies, the religion of reason, or reason itself, which in turns allows you to do whatever you want. Alice Crowley, do what thou wilt. The Lord created man of the earth and turned him into it again. He gave them few days and a short time, and power also over the things therein. He endued them with strength by themselves and made them according to his image. All right, which, you know, his image is what? Righteousness. Okay. All right. So forget Darwin. All right. Which Darwin, his cousin ran Charles Darwin. All right. The man himself. You know, the start of the eugenics, the eugenics movement was with Charles Darwin. Okay. And you know, and it ends with people like these people. All right. People like her. So back to Ecclesiasticus. It says, they receive the use, it's like they receive the use of the five operations of the Lord. In the sixth place, he imparted them understanding. All right. In the seventh, speech and an interpreter of the cogitations thereof. So basically, you understand. You're able to understand what's coming out of, you know, well, regulate your thoughts and make it come out a certain way in order. It says counsel and a tongue, eyes and ears and a heart he gave them to understand. With all he filled them with the knowledge of understanding and shewed them good and evil. He set his eye upon their hearts, that he might shew them the greatness of his works. He gave them to glory in his marvelous acts forever, creation, all right, that they might declare his works with understanding. And the elect shall praise his holy name, because the elect truly understand um, the Most High. They truly understand his ways, okay? All right, so in the book it speaks on in the book Public Opinion, and I'll read this first. You know what? I'll just do this at a later in another lesson. Public Opinion by Walter Lippmann. Good book to read, like I said. My points are on page 25 and 26. All right, but yeah, you know what? I'll just read it, and I'm gonna read her first because this woman praised this woman. This is Margaret Sanger, by the way. You know, as you can see, and this is Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton celebrated the opening of the first Planned Parenthood clinic in America 1999 years ago, when the U.S.'s largest abortion provider began its long career in the open pursuit of eugenics. Okay, so she praised this woman, and a lot of you black women are murderers. Okay, all right. Regardless or not, if the baby, if you were raped, and the baby, and you, and the person that raped you had, you had a baby by, you, you put that kid in adoption. You have that kid be adopted. In no way, no how, that kid should be murdered. All right, thou shalt not murder. Okay, as the scriptures say. But a lot of you black women, the majority of you black women who do abortions, you're in league with these evil people. All right, these Edomites. These are Edomites. All right, from the seed of Esau, who is going to be destroyed in these very latter times. All right, this is their world, and their world is coming to an end. Okay, so in the book, Public Opinion. Um, It says the very men, this is page 25, and this is the first paragraph. It says the very men who most loudly proclaim their materialism and their contempt for ideologues. The Marxian communists place their entire hope on what? On the formation by propaganda of a class conscious group. All right? But what is propaganda? If not the effort to alter the picture to which men respond? Okay? So they provide the picture or the pseudo environment for people to respond off of that. It says to substitute one social pattern for another. All right. So when you go into the article, it said um, when it goes into who are the eugenicists and it reads out the families, it says a justification. It says who finds. All right. So all these families from the Rockefeller, Kellogg, Mellon, Ford, Carnegie, Agnelli, McCormick, who find in eugenics a justification to their selfishness and an excuse to destroy the potential competitors, meaning other races, on the pretext of progress of their own happiness. All right, so and it says it names them the materialist socialists. All right, because they have the most wealth. So in the book, it says the same thing about them. So it identified them as materialists. It says the very men who most loudly proclaim their materialism and their contempt for ideologues, the Marxian communists, place their entire hope on what? On the formation of propaganda, by propaganda, of a class-conscious group. But what is propaganda, if not the effort to alter the picture to which men respond, to substitute one social pattern for another? What is class consciousness but a way of realizing the world? All right, and there you have it. It's highlighted in orange. Okay, or read it and weep. Okay, pause it if you have to. All right, if you don't like it, oh well, you know. So, and like I said, there's plenty of other scriptures. As a matter of fact, Obadiah 1:6. Obadiah 1:6, man. It says, how are the things of Esau? Let me see. How are the things of Esau searched out? How are his hidden ways? Oh, how are his hidden things sought up? All right. So, how are the things of Esau searched out? That given that, amen, the Lord has woken us up, man. All right. All right. And here we go. This is Second Thessalonians chapter 2, verses 3. It says, let no man deceive you by any means, for their days shall not come except there come a falling away first, and that man of sin be revealed. Who is the man of sin? I read in Maccabees, evils, let me see, evils were multiplied in the earth. By who? Starting with the Greek Empire. All right. So like, evils were multiplied in the earth by who? The Greek Empire. Okay. And evils were multiplied in the earth. Under what rule, though? Alexander, which they called themselves Idumeans back then. All right. All right. The first over Greece. Okay. So back to the scripture, it says, the son of perdition, who opposed it and exalted himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God sitteth in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Remember ye not. Oh, and also the falling away happened prior, well, 70 AD. All right, when the children of Israel had another diaspora, when they were scattered through all four corners of the earth, not just in Europe, but also in Africa and Asia as well. Okay. It says, remember ye not that when I was yet with you, I told you these things. It says, and now you know what withholdeth, that he might be revealed in his time. So they've been revealed in their time. For the mystery of iniquity doth already work, which was the Roman Empire. All right. Greco-Roman Empire, however you want to say it. It says, only he who now letteth will let, that's the Most High, until he be taken out of the way. And he's being taken out of the way right now. And then shall that wicked be revealed, the so-called white man, whom the Lord shall consume with the spirit of his mouth and shall destroy with the brightness of his coming. So that's how we know, how we can search out the things of Esau, or how the things of Esau are being searched out. Because the Most High is consuming him with the word, the spirit of his mouth, all right, which is the truth, all right, on who is who in this this book of life that we live. All right, it says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan. All right, now I just explained to you their whole ideology is based on what? Vanity, promiscuity, uh, uh, um, do what thou wilt. All right, okay. It says, the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness. And what is homosexuality? Deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. All right, because thermonuclear fire is coming to America, and nothing's going to save you except for the chariots of the Most High, which we call IFOs. In the world, they call them UFOs. Okay. All right. So I'm gonna end it on this. This is Romans chapter 1, verses. Let me see. Here we go. 1 and 25. It says, who changed the truth of God into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever. Amen. It says, for this cause God gave them up to vile affection. That's the homosexuality. The Most High gave you over to that. He allowed the so-called white man to influence you. It says, for even their women did change the natural use into that which is against nature. All right, so they became what? Lesbians. That's against nature. It says, and likewise also the men leading the natural use of the women, burning the lust one toward another. All right, because it's not love when a man and a man get together. It's lust. It's in concupiscence. All right, it's an illicit desire. It says, men with men working that which is unseemly. All right, what is unseemly? Incorrect, man. You know, go to the word real quick, so I won't destroy it. All right, shameful. All right, that which is unseemly, that which is shamefully, unseemly deed of a woman's genitals, one's nakedness, shame. All right, so working what? That was unseen, unseemly. All right, the homosexuality. Okay, and then it's going to describe to you that you know, their attributes. Okay, it says it says in receiving them in themselves that recompense of their error, which was me. All right, what is the recompense of their error? The diseases that they get, the AIDS that they catch. Okay, which is we know is generated. That's engineered as well, the AIDS, but also they get other diseases. All right, which they can die from. All right, the most homosexuals and transgenders. Right. It says, and even as they did not like to retain God in their knowledge, God gave them over to a reprobate mind, meaning a mind that you can't understand, all right, and you can't discern. It says to do those things which are not convenient, being filled with all unrighteousness, fornication, wickedness, or covetousness, maliciousness. Because a homosexual, when they argue, they're the most evil, uh, unruly people on the planet. All right, it says full of evil, envy, sluggy, full of envy, murder, debate, deceit, malignity, whisperers, backbiters, haters of God, despiteful, proud, boasters, inventors of evil things, disobedient to parents, without understanding, covenant breakers, without natural affection, implacable, unmerciful, who knowing the judgment of the Most High, that they which commit such things are worthy of death, not only do the same, but have pleasure in them that do them. So those that are okay with homosexuality, you're going to get put to death as well. All right, because Sodom and Gomorrah was an example for things, for humankind and mankind to not follow after the things that they've done in Sodom. All right, so now the Most High is going to, He's going to offer you up to judgment, man, because you're doing those unseemly things. All right, with that, I'm gonna just close out. I'm gonna end this, with a death to America. All right, death to America. All right, because its very foundations, man. All right, is wicked. Okay. And with that, I'm gonna say Yahweh Hashem Yahweh Shai, double honesty, apostles and elders at Great Millstone. And this has been another one with Anaya Allah, the beloved truth. Shalom.